The C-suite needs to be out in the field. We must get out there. We must walk around and we must go talk to those trades guys, learn who they are, learn what they're about, and make sure they know what our culture is in our words and asking questions.
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan Englin, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ryan Englin, and this is Titans of the Trades. Today's Titan is someone who started out in the business and grew all the way up to now, and you're going to hear about this. I'll be one of the first ones to announce this, brand new CEO of Riley Construction. And he's got an incredible journey, but more important than that, he has such a servant's heart for the people and such a mentor's heart, a coach's heart. And just the conversation we're about to have will be transformative to your day. I know if anything, it'll make you feel good and excited about the industry. But more importantly than that, we dig deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they're doing to grow an amazing team, have a phenomenal safety record, and just continue to grow and invest in their local community. So I want to welcome to today's show, Ben Kossow, the CEO of Riley Construction. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you having me.
And I'm looking forward to this conversation. We got to spend a little bit of time chatting before, and I was like, I got to hit this record button because we're talking about so many amazing things that we need to just share with our listeners. But before we jump into some of the stuff that I've already taken notes on, tell us a little bit about who Ben is and what you're up to over at Riley.
So yeah, Ben Kossow, like I was telling Ryan, I am a fresh CEO, meaning like 48 hours new, but been at Riley 26 years. I started on the ground floor as a project engineer, worked my way to where I'm at, built on the foundation of the Rileys built, right? They built this great house. So my job is to just make this place better than I left it. Believing in our people, pushing our people, doing things differently than our competition just by hiring the right people on the bus. So we're about a $300 million company, 200 plus employees. And we serve the markets from the Chicago region out to the Madison area. So follow that 94 corridor for those of you who are in the Midwest, and you'll see where we do work.
That's awesome. And I will tell you, just in the few minutes we get to spend together, for those of you listening right now, Ben has such a servant's heart for his people, just a passion for the people and for the industry. And so I can't wait till he gets to dump some of his wisdom on you right now and share with you a little bit how Riley does things and some of the things that he's learned. So Ben, as we jump in, you've mentioned this word a couple of times, and I want you to share with people because I think a lot of people think about, oh my gosh, to get to 300 million, to get to 200 employees, we have to have all these systems and processes. We have to lock this stuff in, and it has to be someone else's stuff. And there's a lot of pushback, I think, in building an organization that's repeatable, systemic, and everything else. But you have a term that I want you to share with people is you look to what other people are doing, but then you Riley-tize it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that's a really good observation. And when you look at what others are doing, how do you make it our own? And it sounds like you guys are really good and really proud of the fact that you're really good at it.
So I'll speak just to the one that's the easiest for me, our operating system, our in-step system. You know, that comes from our leadership team read the book Toyota Kata and Toyota Way. You know, that lean process, that LCI is what the industry calls it. We call that in-step, but it's really a simple planning tool at the end of the day. It's a planning tool that should be repeatable. It's everybody, your client, your trades guys, your project managers, the subcontractors, they all can look at one spot and we can plan off that. And based on that, we know what our current target is. Everyone knows what our current target is. We know when we're behind, we know when we're ahead, and we know why. And there's a constraint board that everyone gets to look at. You know, the owner can be there, the consultants can be in there, we can be in there, and it's okay. And there's a quarterback. And it's just this clear, transparent process where Everyone is looking at the same thing, and it's not hidden in an email or in an inbox or in a text or a phone call or voice message. It's all right there. And that's just an example of how we took stuff that we've read or that we watched others do and we made it our own. And we call them Big Mac diagrams, but there's Big Mac diagrams in all our job trailers that tell you how to do it. So a new person comes in and you get to see a visual of how you're supposed to be doing this. And then you can walk in the room and, yep, they're doing it. Everyone knows what a Big Mac's supposed to look like. I can't sing the song, but I know there's a few in our company that can sing the whole Big Mac song.
No, I think that's fantastic. I think too often we get so, in the industry in particular, we get so focused on putting our head downs and getting projects built, crossing our fingers that we stay on schedule, that we stay on budget, and that nobody gets hurt. And we cross our fingers. And then we get to the end and we're like, whew, we made it. We didn't do what we thought we were going to do, but we made it. And it sounds like you guys have adopted a different approach, really integrating that lean methodology and process improvements and efficiency and those kinds of things in it. But you made a comment on something that stood out to me, is that a new guy can walk into the trailer and he can see what the Riley way is for doing things. Tell me more about that. What's the impact of this been on recruiting and bringing in new guys into the trades?
So I want to go two directions here.
Yeah.
The first direction I'm going to go to is the differentiator in our business. Anyone can say anything in an interview process. But one of our biggest clients took our word, because one of the things I always tell people to do, go out and see it. I want you, like this is the C-suite or the executive saying what we do. I want you to go in our job trailer, which we call our think tanks, and see it. I want you to feel it, because when you walk in, it's different. And our guys they believe it and they can see it. So Pat, that's the one direction where you can see it. The other direction is our subcontractors and our trades guys, you'll actually watch them walk into the trailer, look at the board, and then talk to the superintendent about, one of his constraints and why it's a constraint. And they're actually talking about the issue at hand that's going to affect that critical path, not just an issue. There's thousands of issues. There's probably hundreds of thousands of issues I could be tackling today, but what's the most critical one? And that whole planning process is how that works. And that's what I love is the carpenter, the fitter, it doesn't matter who, they can come in the trailer and they can see it and they know where they're at. My favorite's when guys take break in the job trailers and there's conversations happening about the construction project because it's all right there and it's all visual for them to see. So those are both sides. Love that it can go either way.
It's beautiful. And, for someone who has a passion for systems and processes and being able to communicate our expectations clearly, which is really what's happening in that in-step program, is here's our expectation communicated to you as simply, as easily as possible for everybody to see. So it's really hard to miss that expectation. I would imagine that this lends itself in towards your safety record as well, because you guys have a pretty phenomenal safety record, right?
For sure. We have a great safety record. And because we've planned that way, one of the first spots our safety guys go is they can go into the trailer and they can look at what type of work is coming up and they can have conversations, months, weeks ahead of time. And it's not a knee jerk like, oh, a crane's going to be on the site tomorrow. What should we do? No, they're talking about that months ahead of time because you can see it on that schedule. And there's a constraint to bring the safety guys in. Again, that proactive thought process to safety. And lean is such a huge piece to safety. A lot of times we're like, oh, a guy didn't do that right. Well, what was the real reason? What was digging into that? Why something happens? If you dig it, there's probably a process or procedurally something wrong if someone got hurt, even minorly, which is why reporting incidents that just couldn't have happened, like they could have happened, but something went awry, and reporting that type of stuff is where you learn and you get better. And our safety department, that's where they're digging in the biggest right now, is in that arena of trying to find incidents before they come and learning about stuff like close calls and near misses. And they're really digging into that and creating a culture where it's okay to talk about that stuff because it's going to make us better if we do it earlier, right? You want to learn on a near miss. You don't want to learn on an actual miss.
Yeah. Truth to that. Yes. Truth to that. You mentioned the word culture. culture is one of those things that I think I tell people this, if you put 10 people in a room and you say, give me a definition for culture, you'd probably get 30 different definitions, right?
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about the culture over at Riley. I know, I mean, 27 years, I'm sure you've been instrumental in not only developing and growing that, but being intentional about it. Talk to us a little bit about the culture over at Riley Construction.
Yeah. Riley started on the backs of Chuck and Betty Riley back in the 60s based on a thought, right? On the back of a picnic table and turned it into this great place that the second generation pushed on. And at the end of the day, they named our culture Hi-Fi: humility, integrity, flexibility, and initiative. And all of that revolves around believing in our people, right? Assuming that positive intent, that coaching hard, that caring harder, and developing your leaders. You look at that executive team, we talked a little bit about us, but we all started here. We started at Riley. Some of us were interns, some of us started as project engineers. You started on the ground floor. And I can tell you that's the same thing in our field. We have third generation tradesmen where their dad was a superintendent for us in the 80s and 90s, and now their grandsons are starting at Riley in the field. And that to me is we're doing something right, and we need to lean into that. Stewardship is something I think you talk about when it comes to culture, being the caretaker of our reputation, right? That's where safety comes in, your community impact, your next generation. It's not going to be the third generation of Riley's, but it's always going to be Riley Construction as long as I'm here. A company that's built on this culture, a company that's built on this family feel, that's not changing. That can't change. That's not who we are.
No, I love that. And I love that you guys have embraced the values, you've embraced that company culture. I love that you use the words like stewardship, which is not on your values, but it sounds like something that's just core to the organization. I know giving back. I love the line that you are a yes and company or a yes and culture. I just think that it's really cool that you guys have embraced these things. How do you make sure as an organization, I mean, you're the CEO now, so this all starts and stops with you. How do you make sure that everyone, to that brand new laborer, is embracing and is knowledgeable about the company's culture? Like, I've heard how you do it on the process side, in the construction side. How do you make sure that the culture gets all the way to the brand new guy, entry level to the industry, has never even been around this type of thing before? What are you guys doing over there at Riley Construction to make that happen?
So I think a couple different things, right? Believing in apprenticeships, youth apprenticeships, right? We've got a lot of 17-year-olds who start with us right during the summers and get to learn who we are. Right. They're put with a mentor, a guy who's been in the trades, and he drips that type of culture to him. Another way before that is we do like some youth camps where middle schoolers in the area are coming to Riley and learning, right, how to put a form together, how to build something. So it starts there. And then I think one of the biggest pieces is, and this has been instilled by our chairman, Dave Riley, is the C-suite needs to be out in the field. We must get out there. We must walk around and we must go talk to those trades guys, learn who they are, learn what they're about, and make sure they know what our culture is in our words, and asking questions. We talked about this a little bit, but starting to test us through a survey. We've got a survey that tests who we are, and we get real feedback from our laborers and our carpenters. So we have it broken up into our field and our office, and like we see where things are broken or where we can get better. And instead of just pushing that on the rug, saying that's just a disgruntled person, looking at it and going, all right, I'm looking myself in the mirror. We can do better. Like, what can we do? And then, like I said, getting out there and talking to the guys about, hey, how'd this feel? Did this feel right? Sometimes we feel like we do so much. And then I'll find, well, no one's getting any value out of this. We can actually get rid of that and we can try this. That's something I think we forget too often is you don't have to do everything. Sometimes it's looking at your all your book of business things that you're doing out there and going, I don't know if that one's giving quite the value as everything else. And if we take that out, we can like double down over here where we're getting a ton of value culturally to our employees. So,
yeah, I think one of the things that I see a lot of companies miss on is they do it for a little while, they don't get the results, and then we'll just forget it. And then they don't do anything. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes being intentional about doing something is better than not doing anything at all when it comes to getting your culture out there, leading by example. I love that you visit the job sites. I mean, what better way than to instill it from the top of the organization all the way down the bottom by showing up in work boots
Right.
and going out on the job site and having conversations with guys. I want to talk about the survey thing you do in just a minute, but there was something you shared with me, a story about you connecting with the field labor, right? The front line craft workers and that skilled group. And some of your favorite stories have nothing to do with the work that they do. Share
Yeah.
a couple of those with us because I think this is really important because I think it's so easy to forget that this is part of what you are supposed to be doing as a leadership, right?
Right. Yeah. So two of my favorite stories both involve laborers. One of the stories was a very dear friend of mine who just retired as COO, but she caught one of our laborers walking an elderly couple from the front entry door to radiology. And if we've all walked into hospitals, especially the big ones, even someone who understands how a map works and everything, it can be very overwhelming. Well, our laborer took the time to do it, not because I told him, but because culturally he knew it was the right thing to do. And he got caught doing it. And this CO, who again is a friend still to this day, couldn't believe that a laborer in a hard hat, jeans probably full of construction debris, would take the time to do that. And those stories are shared with everybody at Riley to say these are the right things to do, and understanding that is important and rewarded at Riley. The other one was just a laborer who he was meant to keep an area clean. We had like at a construction site, you had all the big temporary fences and parking got all changed up and you had to walk a certain direction into the hospital, and he would keep the walkway clear. And he was very intentional to say, "Good morning, everybody," or whatever, just greet people. Well, he didn't know it, but he was greeting the CEO of the company every day. And this guy loved the fact that our laborer had their image in mind. And it was at a cancer treatment center that
Mm.
he's like, "I want him out there full time every day, not just sweeping when he needs to sweep. I want him out there like greeting our patients like every day." We're like, "We don't really have that in the number, but if you want it, got it. We'll figure it out." Just neat. Those are the stories that I take away and get me excited. I think I told you those stories provide more joy for me than winning a project, because helping our
Well,
customers is the most important thing. And we do a ton of repeat client work. So that relationship is gigantic.
and we talked about this. I mean, the reality is if you are in the construction industry, you are in the people business.
Yes.
And the way we connect with people, the way our people represent us just pays dividends. And the way our people represent us is a reflection of how well connected or how well engaged they are with the company. And I know that employee engagement is super important to you. We talked about it. We don't have to go deep dive into the technical side of things, but I would love to know what Riley is up to when it comes to asking those questions, or how do we get in front of the front line and get them to be honest with us about what's really going on and things we can do, because the cost of disengagement is incredible. I've done some numbers on this, and the simplest calculation I've come up with is take your revenue, multiply that by 8.4%. That's how much profit you're losing every single year due to
Mhm.
disengagement. It's an
Yeah.
outstanding number. And I know Riley's getting ahead of it and you are incredibly passionate about it. I mean, you just have such a heart for your people. So talk to us a little bit about what's Riley Construction doing when it comes to not only the engagement side, how do we get people engaged, but how do you learn what really needs to be happening?
Yep. So every 6 months, e- do a survey to everybody, to the laborer, to the carpenter, to the mason, to our brand new project engineer. How are we doing as an executive team in 7 categories? Some real simple questions. You go into it thinking you're doing everything right. You come out of it going, "Man, I got a lot more work to do." But it energizes you to know there's positives in there too. And those positives are what give you the energy to go work on some of the things and make the company better than it already is. Because better never stops. We talked about that before. Like, you have to keep pushing forward no matter what. Even in time of failure, you have to keep pushing forward. And if you do that, great things are going to happen.
Yeah. So, has there been anything that you can share? Because I get two things. So, these are the two objections I hear from people when I say, hey, let's ask your people what they think. They're either going to say, nobody's going to be honest with me because they're scared. Right? That's the I've never asked my people before
Yeah.
group, right? And then the other one is they're not going to give me anything that I can really do anything with. Like it's just going to come across as complaining. Is there something, a standout moment for you when you started doing this or that you've done this? You're like, here is feedback we heard. We thought we were doing right. We heard this feedback and oh my gosh, it opened things up for us that you could share with our listeners.
I talked about it a little bit, but two of the areas that we scored lower in, still good, right? That it's on a sliding scale, but measured and heard. And if you would take the things that we're doing, we've got a text platform that we're getting information out to our carpenters, right? Because we saw a hole where we were getting information to anyone with a computer, but we were missing the fact that we weren't getting some of that information to our trades guys. We text a lot of information out now, and not like lightning bolts from the C-suite, but wins and opportunities where you can engage and that where we want people. That was just a way to connect with, and then doing on-site huddles with our trades guys and getting down. And sometimes it just takes giving them a small win to show them that the C-suite's really listening. I think that's the big thing that we miss is sometimes you need to gain trust with those guys. With the people in the office, you're working with them every day, day in and day out. So when you go into these situations where you have an opportunity to work with your trades guys, listen and listen. I mean, really, really, really listen. And then say, man, I heard you. Let's try this. And then do something, be it buy new safety harnesses, because the ones that you have, yep, they met OSHA, but they're uncomfortable to wear all day. And
Yeah.
something that simple, right? For me, like I heard it and I was like, whatever. And then my guy's like, no, that's a big deal. Can you imagine wearing that thing all day? I'm like, oh, get it. Yeah, go ahead, buy something. And just that simple act, I can tell you, I got 4 or 5 thank yous from guys who were wearing them on gang forums all day going, you don't know what that meant to us from like an efficiency standpoint. And for me, you look at it on the surface, you're like, but it was a big deal to them. That's what they do. So really digging in and learning, that's where you're going to get that feedback back is when you act on the little things. That's to you sometimes as, right, the C-suite or a VP or a leader or a general superintendent, you kind of pawn off. But if you really think about it, those are the things that are really important to that, to that laborer, to that carpenter, to that concrete guy.
I think that's a great observation. The things that are important to them don't always make sense to us. And the things that are important to us don't always make sense to them. We're in different worlds, right? Like
Right.
I'm not wearing a harness all day.
Nope.
I don't know. I've heard some organizations, especially during the summer months when it's really hot, hydration's really important. Keep the guys hydrated. And I've heard both sides of it. Well, we got the guys flavored hydration drinks and stuff. And they loved it. And it was like such a big deal that we just didn't give them water anymore. Like little things like that really don't impact the profitability of the job. But just, we have mindsets, I think, in the industry that's like, oh, you know what? Stop whining about it. Just drink water. It's like, yeah, but you're not out there all day. You're
Right.
not doing what they're doing all day.
Yep.
And those little things can matter. And I've heard the one about the harnesses. I mean, I've even heard this. So I talk a lot about if we want to solve a lot of the labor issues that we have in the industry, start inviting women in more to the job sites. But then we haven't, as an industry, really adapted to that because last I heard, they don't really make a safety vest that fits a woman well. Like they're all designed for men because that's the majority of what you're buying. And it's just like these little things can make such a huge impact to the people down there doing the work on the front lines, using their skills, putting themselves in physical risk every single day. And one of the things I see happen a lot when we do ask our people is we don't do anything about it. And I love that you have those examples of, I heard this, I talked to somebody and we just did it. And I think too often we engage people or we ask them, what's going on? They tell us and we look at it and go, they don't know. We're not doing that. Or we ignore them, even worse. And we don't tell them they were heard. And then they're like, well, the next time you ask me, I'm not even going to say anything because the last time I did, you did nothing with it.
Yep.
And
I think that's huge. That's a huge learning thing for everyone is to take The little things can make a big impact. And right, you just get deeper in that relationship with those guys. If you want a relationship with those guys and you want that culture, you got to invest, you got to put the work in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you have this servant's heart for your people. And I said earlier, you have a mentor's heart, like you just love coaching and training your people. As you emphasize the culture, we've talked about being flexible and some other things. Can you share a time when someone's actions that align to your culture really shifted the way you approached a project or you approach a problem? I mean, heck, I imagine Instep was just nothing but time after time. This is what our values are. This is its behavior, and it turned into Instep. But I'm looking for something just maybe a little more specific that stands out to you.
I'm trying to think of a situation because I think one of the things we preach is if someone says we've always done it this way, that's the thing to dig into and try to figure out if there's a different way. Because just because someone did something doesn't mean that it's the right way. Doesn't mean that you should change it either, but you should start asking questions about it.
It aligns with what you talked about, just the curiosity, right? Like
Right.
just be curious about things.
Prefabrication is a big component where, right, everyone's like, oh, I can just build it by hand and it's just as fast. Well, but is the quality there? Have you thought through everything? Again, in a lean culture, you're thinking about, does your guy have all the information that he needs? Does he have all the materials? Does he have the equipment? Does he have all that stuff? Well, if you're thinking about all of that stuff, then you're building everything much more efficiently. If we look at our productivity issue that we have in construction, it really doesn't have anything to do about the people. It has everything to do about the process. So if we get that clear intent of what the guy is going to do, he doesn't have to work really hard. He just has to work efficiently. If you ask questions about what like the trades guys need and you get it to them, that's where you see productivity go up. Instead of the guy going, am I supposed to use this screw or this screw? And this stud isn't quite the right length. So now I'm going to have to modify it. Well, all that stuff should have been figured out ahead of time. And really, the trades guy should just be going through the process, putting the puzzle together. That's the most efficient way. And the productivity gap is because we're not solving those problems for our trades guys. We're expecting them to figure it out. And it shouldn't be them just to figure it out. We need to rally around our leaders and figure it out so that those guys are just putting the puzzle together.
I love how you answer that question because basically what I heard is this happens so often because of who we are and the way we think that there's really nothing that stands out. It's who we are. Like it's normal. Well, I'm going to tell you, Ben, that's not normal. So I meet a lot of people running construction companies and they don't always think about how do we make it better for the next guy? How do we make it better downline? How do we support our tradespeople? I loved your answer, by the way. I thought it was a fantastic answer. It was perfect. And that it's just who you guys are. You guys are amazing. So I can tell you, I know that what you're doing and the way you think about things is just so amazing. So as we're looking forward and you're thinking about what the next thing is for Riley, I know you only got 48 hours in, but what are you most excited about?
It's silly that I'm going to bring it all back to the people, but it is, right? Like there is so much work out there. We're in such a demand in the markets that we serve. We got into the whole data center market, which I think it's a bubble, but it's a fun bubble to be on the bus, right?
Everybody wants to be on that bubble.
Right. It's cool to be on that bubble. So it's neat there. Healthcare is coming back, right? We got the baby boomers. They are definitely going to invest there. In the market that we serve, the industrial has gone bananas from like manufacturing and just warehousing space. So stuff is here where we need it. So it's not about how big you want to get. It's making sure that you have the right people and you scale the right way, right? So if you get the right people on the bus, I think, is that a Jim Collins thing? I don't want to give credit
It
to
is.
the guy who said it, but focus on that, right? And then growth will happen after that. And that's really where we're at, is continuing to find the right people, grow that way. We added that Madison office, so that is going to continue to grow, but just really investing in the people in these different offices. And the result of believing and leaning into your people is going to grow the company just organically. So
I love it. And it's so natural for you to think that way, which is amazing. So, Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. How do people learn more about Ben if they want to connect with you, or how do they learn about what Riley's up to? I know you guys are regional, and this, of course, is a worldwide podcast, but how do people learn more?
Yeah, I'd ask you, right? Look at my LinkedIn page. I've been pushed by our growth development guy to get out there and be more of a thought leader on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with you. The other place, go to rileycon.com. We have a new website out there where we're putting more blog content out there. We're trying to kind of push in the market that we shied away from. We didn't talk about them a lot, but this new growth strategy director I have is pushing me to think a whole lot differently. And Ryan, it's getting that information out there to help us all get better. We get better incrementally and not keep that stuff close to the vest, but help everyone get better because the industry gets better as we all get better.
Yeah. Well, and I've been on the website. It's a great website. So, congratulations to your marketing team for that. And congratulations on the new title. Amazing. And Ben, just keep doing what you're doing. And I think that if we can create some infectionness in the way we think about people and how we care for people from the heart. We have that mentor heart and mindset that we just care about everyone on the job site, because that's really where I think the industry needs the most support right now. So keep doing what you're doing, Ben. It's awesome. Thank you for being on the show today. It was amazing.
Yep. Thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Ryan Englin here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.